think it's started. Okay, let us start. Okay, hi all. The myself Vijay Pratap has. Okay, today I thought of using an SQL Server Profiler. You might have aware of using a SQL Server Profiler in database, and the benefit that you get with SQL Server Profiler is like when you have some performance issues with your database, like your queries or the query which is executing or taking most of the time or taking most of the CPU or consuming most of the resources. So in terms of when you are looking to figure it out, so probably you have options to execute the query and see the plans in your database itself. But let's say an application which is using EF, etc. So again, you need a compiled query, etc. And for executing that compiled query, you need any link you pad, etc. So that part also is making, in terms uses of entity framework, it's so difficult that when it comes to performance part, that how to optimize an applications which is using heavily on, which is based on EF, and it has a performance issues because we never thought of any indexing or any plan, because we never see that what query is doing internally, how it is fetching resources, how which column is a candidate for indexing. So probably in that regard, extended events could be a better call to, and in terms the flexibility or configurations that it offers to you, or secondly SQL Server Profiler, which has a performance issues. Like it's always recommended when you start a profiler, you should close it as soon as possible, even it's a like when it is a production database. So again, it's like you cannot run it for a long time. You need a very little time span to check your query and performance, etc. with the. Hello. I think I'm visible. I'm audible on the Hangouts. Hello. Nobody is saying anything. Anyway. So in that regard, extended event is something which you can use to troubleshoot the performance issues, especially when you have like remote procedure calls, or even like in a regular pattern. If you are looking to, like let's say on nightly basis or a most heavily time when user is using, and you don't want to affect the user performance, it means user interaction with the applications. So in that regard, extended events offer you a highly scalable organizations. Like it will hamper the performance with very little, and it will offer you a lot of data, means execution plans, queries, CPU time, when the server has most of the loads. So at that point also you can track events. So, and well, extended events was first released with the SQL Server 2008, but at that time it has some T-SQL based operations. So if you want to configure extended events in 2008, you need to know about SQL queries, a lot of SQL queries. I mean, starting, setting, configuring, and saving our extended events in a target file. But with the 2012, Microsoft launched a graphical user interface, and which mark a very ease to set this extended events, start it, save the target file, or check your data in. It gives you a UI pattern to see your results in SQL Server Management Studio. Earlier it was you need to write some SQL query also to fetch the data and see it in UI part. So with 2012 it marked a better improvement in terms, and with that part Microsoft also mark the end of SQL Server Profiler, which is with the next version of SQL Server, that will be the last version of SQL Server Profiler, that is 2014. So which is already released. So that is the last version of SQL Server Profiler. And if you still want to use SQL Server Profiler, it is now available with Express edition of SQL Server. So okay, that's, I think it's about my. So myself. Vijay Pratap, and the blog, etc., Twitter, and I'm a Microsoft certified professional on querying Microsoft SQL Server 2012. Okay, let's move back. Okay, forward. So this entire session is just an introduction part for the extended event, how to configure it with the use of the graphical interface that it has with SQL Server 2014, and saving a trace, like you can save the trace that is extended event is collecting out of a event, or and then I will give you a brief of executing extended events with the help of T-SQL, SQL queries, framing it, starting it, closing it, and saving it in a target file, and some dynamic management views to use of for the use of extended events. Like let's say what you want to know about what are the events running in the system. All those they are graphical things. You can just expand it, and you can see what are the events running. So the DMV offers much more better flexibility, like in terms of address pointer that it has, how it's running. So those details we will see. Okay, coming back, coming forward to extended event engine. So extended event engine is again a service, collection of services that helps manages resources, objects, and even the file, the information that it has been created, like opening it again. All those stuff is maintained by this extended event engine. It's just a collection of services at the end. So it's just a graphical interface, graphical image that I have copied from MSDN. And this event is a brief discussion of extended events, like how the packages are configured and how target, type, action, and all those. So I will give you a brief of what exactly these events are. Like a package, which referred here. A package is a container for an event. Like Microsoft ships its packages in a that SQL Server you see, it is in form of 3-4 combination of packages. So here a package is a container for the events, and event is a, like let's say in our code, as we code in everyday to life. So let's say at a particular instance something happens and we want to know that something meaningful happen at a particular instance of the code. Like code is flowing from one instance to another instance, and at particular point of execution we want to track that what happened at that point. So event is that part. At particular point we want something meaningful happen at that point and we want to track it. So event is, well, I have added some definitions too. Okay, so event is at a specific point in the code where something of interest occurs in the database engine, inside the database engine. So database engine is obviously it has its own flow of executions in its own way. So at that point something meaningful and we want to track it, so that is referred as event. So in SQL Server 2014 there are total of 763 events, which is extended events. Now action, like let's say a particular point of instance you want to track something meaningful happened at there, and you want some action to write there that hey, fire this or log this particular variable. So that is your action. You are logging something, so that is your action. So you can attach at particular instance, you attach a particular method or to call it, so that is action. So same thing is with this, at a particular point of event you want to save something or you want to track something, so that is referred as action. Targets, again target is like where you want to save, the place, memory. Either it's in memory, you are seeing it in runtime, so it's in memory, or you want to save it in a file, that is a target. It's like a condition. Let's say I want to track, hey, for this user I want all of track. Let's say I have an app and my app is having some credential, etc. I want all the tracks for that particular app. So that could be a help, like track only for this app user. So that could be a predictor. Like your clause, your database, like let's say there are multiple database in an instance, in a server. So you want to track for a particular database. So that could be a condition. So it's a kind of filter you can add while tracking your events. Types is just a data type, event session, and event session is a combination of all these events, action, predictors, types, targets. Yes, there are 763 total of with 2014. It's increasing with the new editions of SQL Server. Multi? No, we never need all the events. Our purpose at our level, what we need exactly, like a SQL query is compiled, a SQL query is executed, login XML plan. These are the events names. So these there are a remote procedure call, a remote procedure compiled. So something like that. So although we may not need all those, yes, based on use we can. So coming back to that image again. So it's something which referred here as a package which has one-to-n relations with events. Like a package has multiple events, and events has multiple session contents, action, predicted, expressions, and these are again referred here. Now I think this diagram will be clear, isn't it? Yes, this diagram is clear. It just I will come back to the demo point. Right now it's just some theory. Just I want to clear because if I will take the name of action, you will not get familiar. What is action? What is events? What is a target? So just I to brief it, I gave this. Okay. Now I'm coming back to some session point like how we can configure it in SQL Server with the use of graphical interface. Here in management, you can see there is a column. Is it visible? There is a inside management. You can see there is extended events. So on expanding this, you can see there are sessions. I have few sessions all added, but let me delete this. Okay, so these two sessions you can see that these are by default present in your SQL Server 2014. System health and always on health. We will see that session later. But these are the already added pre-configured sessions added in your SQL Server. Now I'm looking to add. There are two options: new session wizard and new session. So we can go with new session and new session. Both are exactly pointing to the same, but the way they are creating is different. We'll choose with new session first. Okay, here you can see that it's asking for a session name. I will give it a okay. I named it as seminar query, and there are predefined templates available. Templates are nothing but a combination of events. Let's say it's already uh, pre-configured events are grouped together and named as a templates. You can create your own templates with an XML file. And it's just a pre-configured set of events which are included and called as a templates. But we can go with a blank. Like we don't want any predefined templates. We will choose our own events. So we can choose. I can keep it as a blank, or you can choose any like most of us needs like query execution. So this could be a templates query detail sampling. So this could be a template for that. But let me choose the blank thing so that now these are the options to start the events at the server startup or at the creation of the session. So I'm not checking any of this. Now let me okay, let me leave it blank. I just put a name. Name is a compulsory field. You must need to provide a name. Now coming to events, what are the events that we can add in? Let's say I want a SQL survey, SQL something with query execution or after execution. Okay, after let's say after query post execution show plan. After execution, I want to track the plan of the query, or so let me add this one first. Okay, now SQL statement completed. Any SQL statement which is running in my SQL server, if it is completed, I want at that point something like what are the CPU time, or various information about that statement. So in that case, I will add this also. So I'm adding two events right now. One is SQL post execution show plan. So that will be that will be showing the plan of execution, like what are the plans of how the tables data are accessed. And second is SQL statement completed. Any SQL statement which is executed and it is completed, at that point when it is completed, it will be tracked. Now double click on this, you will get a event fields. So you can see that there are events fields which is already added, like CPU time, which will be tracked, duration, how much time the query took, estimated cost, NSD, object ID, object name, show plan in XML format, and database ID, source database ID. And here is again for the SQL statement completed. Again, you can see some predefined event fields are already added, like what are the fields that is will be tracked for you and will be shown in the result part. So statement writes row counts. Yes, it seems it's just a kind of, it's going to replace the profiler, but the benefits that you have is uh, less CPU resource uses, and when and profiler are not never recommended to run it in productions, and it's even if you run it for a few minutes and close it as soon as you can. So there was huge performance round for profilers.
So where can we attach this session to a particular user?
Use.
Something that application user, we can for that application can attach this.
Yes, you can attach this filter pad. So these are the field. I will come to it. Just give me a few. Okay, so these are the parameters which is by default added, and that will be tracked. Now you have global fields, actions, like what are the actions that you want. You can add it. All the checkboxes are unchecked, and filters. Okay, I am just configuring it like my database. This AdventureWorks 2012 has a DBID 5. So I will add it for the that database, or let me leave it right now. For the time being, I'm just leaving it. Okay. Okay, let me save it. Seminar query. Okay, I'm starting this session. I will go for watch live data. Now this traces session is running, and I will run some query. Let me run a few more queries. So is it visible? Okay, so you can see that this actually lots of, I have not filtered anything, so it's anything which is running on the server is traced here and is collected here. Anything which is running there. So let me add some filter so that it would be a filtered result rather than everything which is being picked up. Let me move back to, I will add a filter as server database ID. Here database ID is 5 for my machine for AdventureWorks, and for this also I will add server database ID 5. Okay, let me save it. Okay, I have closed it. Okay, now I will go again watch live data. Let me close this instance so that fresh result will be there. Okay, I'm running some queries in AdventureWorks. So this one you can see that SQL statement completed is being traced. It is using AdventureWorks. Now duration you can see is, now I will run some multiple queries that I have.
Can you view the plan in this session?
Yes, you can see. Let me execute this entire stuff. So I think okay. There are lots of, so this is a plan. So I have referred it a temp transaction table, and it's a, now let me join this table, execute this query. Okay. Person. Okay, you can see the SQL statement also. What are the statement that is being executed? Query plan is on this side. It's actually there are huge number of calls, so it's a bit clumsy of data. Okay, I will execute a single query so that it would be better to analyze the query and corresponding execution plan. So we will wait for a few seconds so that it appears here. Okay, yeah, now we have two logs. So you can see that it referred a table person with a business entity and this SQL statement completed. So what is the query? How much duration it is taking? Duration is in microseconds, and number of row count it returns, logical reads, offset in parameterized plan. It is in, I have not selected it in that event. Physical reads, row count, writes. So these two are the logs here, as I have added only two actions to be traced, which is a execution plan and SQL Server query completed. Now I will get back to events again. Okay, now depending on the user, I can add multiple filter here, like as you said, adding a user. So you need to add here SQL Server username. So in this case, is it visible? Yeah, here in this SQL Server dot username and equal to, and you can add a username here, and that will give you, like, let's say your application is a particular web app user. So whatever the request is coming from that application, you want to track only those part. So you can make it a specific to a user. Plan the query completions, and which then next comes, like, I want to trace the events which took almost, like, let's say half seconds or something like that, or more than that, or a particular time you want to track that, which what are the queries which took most of the times, or most expensive queries. So you can refer to that with the duration, SQL Server dot duration.
Can we filter on the basis of type of transaction? Suppose some inserts and I want to type only the inserts.
Only the inserts.
Yeah. Not on the select and something like that. I just want to track how many rows have been inserted on what instance. Like that.
Yeah, there are events like lock etc., lock release and all. So I think that would be, like, when you have an insert or update, so it's something a kind of lock. So based on that, SQL Server dot lock resource are there. SQL Server dot lock acquire resource. Let me here execution. Partition handle. Okay, I have a query. Let me. Okay, I will come to that. I will have a query for that. I will show you how to set it with the SQL queries. Using a query, how you can set your uh, extended events. So now comes the question, like, you have a execution plan and you have a SQL query completed. So you want to correlate, like, which plan is for which queries. So you can, or like, these are from the same transaction. So each transaction is referred with a transaction ID. So if you have a field called transaction ID in global action fields. So if you add a transaction ID with each thing, with the each log transaction ID, I added it for statement and query both. Like in my trace, you can see that if there are multiple calls, so which plan is for which query, and if in between something happens, so you will not find a symmetry of like which execution is which query completed and what are the corresponding execution plans. So if you want to correlate that this query has this execution plans, you can add a field transaction ID to track. And if you want to track the database name, so you can check this checkbox. But these events fields are again precious, so do not add it until unless you do not require it. But in case if you need to track, like, what are the executions for this particular query, so there is something with transaction ID, or when this query executed at particular instance, what was the plan of execution. So this transaction ID you can filter, and database name you can it's option is there to check it. So if you want to have database name, if you really need it, do not check it until unless you need it. And this filters with a particular client app, or a user, or a system domain, or a request ID. Now about like process ID, there are things with the process also, a particular application which is a process. So again you can track it. It's similar what the flexibility, if you have ever used SQL Server SQL Server Profiler, so it's similar to it. And in terms of configuration, it's better. Okay, let me Let me add something with the timing, etc. So that I will go with the duration. And this is in microseconds. So I will add it. I want all the queries which is having, it is taking more than half second. So, and it's point to the database adventure works, which has a,
Database name, I guess.
yeah, the database name is also there. Time is in, I'm adding it now. I will run some bulk queries, like some queries which is not taking time, means which will not take more than less than half second. And so there are queries like products. So this will very light queries. And did I saved it? Let me close this instance. It's like, for, yes, right, events filter, it should be greater than. I'm running few queries over there. So this was a probably a big queries. It took almost 2 seconds. Now the next part is saving your extended events. Like this data, I mean, you can see the live data which is running while execution. You can see that what are the plans and all. But if you are looking to save this, it's taking some time. Okay, let me get back on. Okay, it came. So this was a query which took time, CPU time, database name. I think I have not checked that checkbox. So otherwise the database name would have been there. But source ID is there, which is 5, and you can see the execution plans. Now this is a SQL query which is executed, and transaction ID. Now you can correlate. Okay, I think the so plan do not have included. I have not included transaction ID there. Events. Okay. Okay, I can include transaction ID so that I can correlate that this transaction is for. Now I'm running it again. This was the previous result. Now the next part is saving your uh, extended events, which is a data storage. Now there are multiple options that you can use to save your extended events, like your file type, counter, like how much, like if you want to make a count of how many times such event had occurred, or how much time this particular query executed, or how much time it. So that counter is sync file target. event file, histogram is some graphical interface, pair matching, and ring buffer. Pair matching is, again, you need to add some condition on the event wise. So we'll start with the saving it in a file. D drive. Okay. Let me choose a D drive. We'll choose the script folder. I will give it the name as I'm saving it in script, seminar queries, and all. I'll save it. Now you can see that this seminar query is there. Seminar query is there, which is of, now you can see that size has increased to 12 KB. Earlier it was 0 KB, which is some log is there. Now I will go and execute some queries. Now like session is also there, which is running, and the event will be traced there also. But now I will run some queries in the, let me run the entire batch files and see how this is changing. As it is adding the data that is being executed, the trace is being added in the file, and you can see this file directly in SQL Server Management Studio. So the plan is added here. Now you can see that this query has a transaction ID 188270, and this show plan has the same transaction ID. So you can track it with that. Oh yes, this plan is for this query, and because it do not contain anything with the queries info, but you can see in the plan that it referred to what are the tables which is being queried and the data is being fetched. So with the SQL statement, you can see the statement, and with the transaction ID, you can map it to a particular plan. Now, sorry. Yes, yes. This result. Yes, yes. You add. The database provide you the flexibility to trace the event. I mean, once you add an extended event, it will track the what is happening internally in the database, and it will show you the output. Yes, yes. Yes, yes. No, no, not extra table. It's something they are maintaining internally. Like now, this result that you are seeing is it is memory. It is not saved. But yes, it's internally they are managing. But like when you add an extended events, so there are some DMVs which is being updated, and you can see that those DMVs, you can query those DMVs, and you can see what are the events which is being added. Yes, yes. No, no, they are not having anything in memory. Like they are, this data is being fetched when you executed query a particular instance, these data are being fetched and it is shown to you. They are not keeping these data. SQL Server is not keeping these data. It's just in a memory and they are showing it to you like a temp. Yes, you can add an event for that, and you can save it in a file. Your extended data, means extended events data will be saved in your file. So after 10 days you can open that file and you can see what are the historical diagrams, I mean historical result for that query execution. Let's say you want to track at a particular query or a particular CPU with, like, let's say IO's thing. So you want to limit it to the logical reads or physical reads or time. So you add a event, you save the result in a file. So once the event is executed, whatever the result is obtained will be saved in that file. It will not be saved in SQL Server internals. SQL Server will not be saving it. Yes, yes, that is your system drives. I have saved it in a system drive. Right now I have saved it in my system drive, which is D drive script folder here. So just click on it with, if you have SQL Server Management Studio installed, so it will open by default there. So you can see the size has increased to 51 KB. So as soon as a query is being executed, the results are being saved in this file. Yes, yes, it's dynamic management views, which is a SQL Server internally manages. And when you queried it, they will show you the data. Like it's point to a, yes. No, we are not storing to a view. No, no, no. It is not saving this. See, this live data that you are seeing, SQL Server is not saving this data. You can save it in your external files. It will be saved always in a user file, or you can see it in runtime. So like right now I am saving it in runtime. It is a live data. Like I execute a query, result will be reflected here. So it's a live data. It is not saved anywhere. But you can save it in an external file, in your drive, in your Windows drive. Yes, right now it is in memory. Now, no, I will give you something on this DMVs. Like let's say I want to track a particular name, event's name, and so I have, so my uh, extended event name is seminar query. Sorry. So now you can see that these are the two events which is associated. This is the name of extended events, and these are the two event names which is associated with this seminar query. Similarly, with like what are the action attached, so you can query. I have queried DMXE session events and DMXE sessions. So these two DMVs are storing, one is storing these DMXE sessions is storing infos about all the sessions, extended event sessions that you have in your. So now you can see that there are all the running extended events which is in your database. One is system health and other one is seminar query that I have added in the name column that you can see in the second. Now this, now I want to filter all the events associated event session. Like let's say I have added a SQL Server compiled, SQL statement completed, and query post execution so plan. So I can join with this session events and I can query the result. So now this is giving me all the events which is associated with my extended session. So this is what DMV is saving in turn. It's not saving the live data that you are seeing in UI, in GUI. This now I was with the query. So once you click it, you can see it in. I think it is open. So this is the data which is being saved from the file seminar query, which is in D drive. Okay. let me close this. Okay, coming back to now, I want to give you something brief on the uses of extended event with the help of. Yes.
Let's say I've created a session and I'm not saving it. So until it's running,
No, it will see that option at the beginning of extended event. It was like, let me get back. Okay, in properties, there are options that start the event at the startup. So if you check it,
yes.
it will start every time server is started.
Yes. So it is running internally.
It is running
I'm
till
not
my.
saving it anywhere.
No, it is not
Let's say
saved.
after 2 hours I'm saving it. So the data that is saved will be from that 2 hours, that starting point of save.
Yes, from the starting point of save. It will not. It won't save the previous one. If you check it, every time your server starts or server is running, it will be saving it. I mean, it will be tracing those events.
And it's a garbage only. I'm not saving it.
Yes, it is. It is of no use of them. So by default, you can stop it from here itself. Stop session, start session, watch live data, delete.
So the option is like that.
Yes.
Start it and watch live data.
If you want to save it, like if you cannot watch it for a particular 10 hours, so in that cases you can save it.
So how this is written for profiler? Again, the same thing.
Yes, profiler, in terms of memory consumption that profiler has, the load, the profiler that put on your database is less in compared to the extended event offers. It profiler is, I don't know, Microsoft has taken a decision like they are replicated the profiler, and now this SQL Server extended event is in place, and it is going to replace it. And this is with 2014, the last edition. I think profiler they have added this edition also. So probably this is the Express edition of SQL Server, and they do not give profiler with any of the Express edition before this. So probably they are last time they are making it free to use. Okay, now I was on the query. Like let's say I want to set it with some SQL queries. What exactly setting it with UI does? I can query it from here. Session as create to query to the new window. Now you can see that what exactly it has done. Is it visible? Okay, create event session on server, add events, which is SQL Server query post execution plan, which is the actions. I have added transaction ID to trace. The duration is in microseconds. Packages, the packages that I already told you before, that package is a container for extended events, which is equal to and source data source ID, which is 5. And again this is the second events which is being added with action where the database ID and duration is this. Now I am adding a target that my extended event should be saved in a file D drive with seminar query.xcl, max memory, KB, retentions, loss, max size, quality, startup, state off.
Can we split that file as well?
Which file?
That file that we are saving.
Yes, that is an XML file. You can see it in Notepad. Just let me.
We can split based on some memory information like
Yes. You can customize. Okay. Get back to. Okay. Now here there are more number of columns. You can group it. You can remove a column. You can choose the information. This is what you are referring, right? Like grouping is like if you want to separate it with the statement execution only part, so you can group it. There are multiple more columns here, so you can choose the column that you want to see, like database name, CPU time in the UI itself if you want. So you can choose object ID, transaction ID. So in this list, in this list itself, if you want these parameters to be available, so you can choose it from here. Physical reads, whatever the parameter that you see that it's good to show it. So you can see everything. Now grouping is again there. Just do a right click. Now it is grouped with transaction ID. You can group it average, mean, max, none. Okay, let me get back to on its time is. Let me get back on this. That locking part you said is like when what we want to track is with insert, update, and all. So probably this could be a way to track that. Like if you want to track a when a object or table is locked, probably that is the point where is insert, update, delete is going on. So it's again a yes. Yeah, so it's again something with the server end, which is let's say find blocker or when the deadlock occurs. Like you can track also the deadlock part. When a deadlock occur in your database, so something on specific with the database or specific with the user ID or specific with the time or how much time the deadlock means the object was logged on when it was released. So that stuff also, it's just a something which is referred with the log escalation. Like log escalation is referred to as like let's say there are multiple row locks in a table, like multiple queries are executing a table, and then SQL Server Optimizer is planning to escalate the lock to the entire table lock rather than row locks. So it's optimizer decisions. So you cannot control it. Optimizer is enough smart enough to take the decisions on this. So if you want to track when a SQL server is trying to escalate the lock to a table from a row locks, like when you are picking an insert and based on row locks, optimizer is wise enough to take the decisions. So you can track that when a lock escalation takes, lock is acquired, lock is released, SQL Server lock acquired. Now, again, this pair matching, etc., is what I told you the target. Means when you are saving a file, so if you want to match something with the like begin event and matching columns, database ID, multiple things if you want to match together and you want to track it with a target. So that referred you. Further, you can add something on. I think this part is clear. Yes. Yes, I think this log acquired does will offer you there. Okay, let me check what are the events are there. I think there will be events. I'm not sure on that part. Statement is starting. Transact SQL has started. Or it could be something with the filter, etc. Okay. Okay, I will check with it and I will update in that seminars. Okay. Coming back on that point of like starting and stopping in session. So you can creating it, you just need to refer the sessions and start find blocker, and this is the session name, and state a start and state a stop. So uh, I think I'm done with this introduction part. So any questions you have or anything is escalation. Yes, yes, yes. Like it's query. No, no. I was setting some events for it. Like yes, yes. You can track, like there are events SQL Server deadlog. So you can use that, and responding like what are the objects which is, let me get that. Okay. So you can see this lock acquired, you can get to know that what are the query which is being causing this log. So this will give you the details of the object which is being logged, lock release. So this will give you the statement that what are the resources which is being locked. Yes, yes. See, even a lock is, yes, you will get to know with this test, with the event, the action which is being filtered you. Okay, anything else? Questions?
So whatever we can do with profiler, we can do
Yes, you can do it with the extended events, and it's more in terms of configurations that it offers. Profiler, I think there are not much more events which is attached with profiler. I, yeah, I think the events are not that much, and that is what it is referred as highly configurable. And secondly is like performance, that is highly scalable. So in terms, when you go with the production application, so it's with the less uses of resources, you have better tracing available. Anything else? DMVs, management views, SQL. No, no, this database will not save those in event now. Like how much time it is taking, how much CPU resources is it consuming, how what is the query execution plan. So these things data will never save. So this DMVs is like it internals. Like let's say I created an extended events. I added 5 events in that. So DMVs will tell you that hey, this is the extended events. These are the events which is added in this extended events. These are the actions. No,
yeah, but the live watch data is nothing but a query only, which is in the VM. Yes.
DMVs, yeah.
If we configure the event itself to some small, like 2 3 things, DMV will be prepared like that. But it will not be the actual aspect. For the actual aspect, I think I use this profiler. Means it will give the estimated. It should yes. Otherwise, it is running alone. Everything is running.
Everything is running.
SQL Server obviously is saving on whatever the query is running, all the log will be set, right? Like we are saving it in our local
File.
They are also managing all stuff inside there. Whatever the query or whatever the operations you are doing inside the database, all operations are
I think
otherwise it is not possible. This is how I can we can count the query and we can get our idea. So all I can say that we put that means that is
in one of the DVD group, the Ritesh has done, he has created an script, and that is nothing but some SQL, and he ran that SQL in database server, and he got the result like which table were missing indexes, and which table some query.
yes, and then
that is taking time.
we have used Payment for also. And now if you go to the Azure, the person who are using the Azure, they are now showing all the information like in the Azure management portal. Now the performance tab, in the performance tab we can find all these. Right? This is the same. But in one project also we have used the tool to know the missing indexes, performance, which is the maximum amplitude, which is taking maximum time, maximum CPU.
Because of the processors is running these days.
Correct.
It might be running at that in the some background. They have some tracking things running on them. Yeah,
Logging is much beneficial than profiler. In profiler we can't see this much flex.
yes, it's not that much configurable.
We cannot find the for particular how much time is taking, all those problems, we cannot find that. That is to just get the overall idea of the data one database or one table.
Yes.
But if a particular query how much time it's taking and all the plan like that we get it.
Yes, it's
That execution plan, those information we cannot.
We can get it directly in SQL Server. That plan.
Yes,
One
yes,
time is
right.
but there is individual query. Yeah. It is more granular here. You can get very low.
hello. I think no one is there or what? Hello. Okay, I'm closing this.